This road is built for speed. It's a fast-paced, high-octane fantasy come true. This is the Autobahn. When the freedom of no speed limit intersects with the precision of German engineering, the result draws drivers from all over the world. This is a look at the pleasures and the problems on the Autobahn and the people who respond when going fast turns ugly. Hitting the road. It's a modern archetype. The romance of the open road has existed as long as travel itself. Add speed, and that romance heats up. Punching the accelerator and really opening it up is both sexy and dangerous. Germany's Autobahn, the word is generally translated as motorway, is one of the most technologically advanced highway systems in the world. But mention Autobahn to any driving aficionado, and the first word that comes to mind isn't engineering, it's speed. This may be the only road in the world with an international fan base.
I come from Puerto Rico in the Caribbean.
I came from Tampa, Florida.
The Autobahn is special. It's an experience that I recommend for everybody.
And the Autobahn drive is incredible. I just wish they could do that in the United States.
The best, the greatest, it's the most thrilling road that you could drive in your world.
So thrilling, in fact, that this guy might have got a little carried away. Kurt Lotterschmidt built his Autobahnmobile from the ground up. And he estimates he spent more than €1 million, yes, you heard right, €1 million on it.
Yeah, I am completely crazy. Yeah. This was always my dream, to make a car completely myself.
This car, called of all things the low-tech, is so fast, Kurt had a custom speedometer built for it.
The car goes maximum, it's possible 400 kilometers, but the tires is only allowed 380. But I have the power to go 400.
And when Kurt is cruising at those high speeds on the Autobahn, this car just looks like it's saying, "Get out of my way." But before you begin to think Germany's Autobahn has spawned an entire nation of speed demons, there are people opposed to the breakneck speed. Peter Seewald is the president of the Regensburg chapter of the VCD, the Verkehrsclub Deutschland, which is the traffic club of Germany.
We have about 6,000 people killed in Germany every year by traffic. Officials say it's much better than in the 70s. In the 70s we had about 20,000 people killed. Of course 6,000 are much better, but it's shocking. For me it's really shocking that the government says 6,000 people killed in every year are an improvement.
Even for student driver Silke Urmetzer, the excitement of learning to drive fast on this super road is tempered with caution.
When you're driving slowly, you always have your car under control. And if you're driving so fast, and you make a big mistake, so you don't have your car under control.
Being out of control is the horrific flip side to the exhilaration of traveling at super speeds. When you're clocking over 240 kilometers per hour, a tiny swerve, one split second of distraction can create devastating outcomes. Check this out. Average reaction time is 1.5 seconds, so if you're traveling 100 kilometers per hour and have to slam on the brakes, you travel 120 meters before coming to a complete stop. If you're traveling at 300 kilometers per hour and hit the brakes, you and your vehicle would have traveled almost a full kilometer before you came to a stop. The results are indisputable. High-speed impacts on the Autobahn are a nightmare. Helicopter rescue pilot Roland Benning.
For example, if you drive very fast through a wall, an airbag is useless. So I would say with 200 kilometers per hour, the airbag is useless, yes.
The potential for speeding to be fatal on the Autobahn is very real, but statistically it's one of the safest roadways in the world, with fewer fatalities per kilometer driven than the United States. How can that be? Well, Germany deals with the paradox of its super sexy and super dangerous highway with numerous innovations, services and people. The Polizei with vehicles and gadgets that would make any double agent green with envy. The road rescue people that combine the life-saving skills of your doctor with car-fixing skills of your mechanic. The layers of technology, from slick command centers to lowly yet state-of-the-art sign scrubbers. All of these elements merge into a support system of the world's most famous superhighway. This highway is so important, every single detail, from road construction on down to the size of the letters on the signs, is meticulously planned. Dr. Thomas Linder is the Department Director of Operations and Traffic for the Bureau of Highway Management of South Bavaria. More simply put, head honcho of a section of this highway.
Well, our German highway network is designed to ensure the connection between major cities and parts of our country, and the construction is of high standards.
Here are some of the reasons the Autobahn is king of the road. The Autobahn is thicker than most highways. Depending on climate and local ground conditions, the road ranges from 55 to 85 centimeters in depth. Stout enough for a 747 to land on without the road giving a centimeter. This is almost twice the average thickness of American interstates and gives the Autobahn the strong foundation that it needs to take the pounding it gets day in and day out. Another thing that helps make this road superior is one of its most unique features. It's also one of the main reasons you can safely travel so fast on it. It's the grading of the road.
We have many design rules for the highway concerning the grading of the highway and the curves, minimum radius and things like that, so that the highways can be driven with high speed.
The idea is to replace steep hills with gentle slopes to accommodate these high speeds. After all, when the road is flatter, you can go faster. A 4% grade is about the maximum allowed. Here's how that incline affects driving. If you were cruising on a 20% grade, you could climb 200 meters in just over 1 kilometer. On a 4% grade, you'd need to drive nearly 5 times that distance to make the same climb. Sounds simple enough to keep the constant 4% grade, but when you consider the roads must follow Germany's terrain, all the way from the Baltic Sea to the Alps, you begin to grasp the toughness of this task. It's safe to say, German highway crews must literally move mountains to build the Autobahn. The final reason why the Autobahn is super awesome, it's super wired. Overlaid on this concrete ribbon is a system of sensors, cameras, electronic signs, communication points, and traffic computers that continually monitor every aspect of the Autobahn. Some of these sensors are hardwired into the system, while others are solar-powered and wireless. They feed back everything from temperatures and weather conditions to traffic and accidents. Whatever you do on this highway, you can bet that someone somewhere is watching. As you would guess, all this German perfection does have a price. To keep Autobahn drivers happily humming along, Germany spends over 460,000 euros annually supporting and maintaining every kilometer of the Autobahn. Over twice what the United States spends on each kilometer of its interstate system. Speed has its price.
Our highway system is a very good system, well-maintained system, and it's well equipped with the technical equipment, and the driver can be happy driving on our Autobahn.
happy may be a bit of an understatement. For those who are driven to drive, the Autobahn is the road to Nirvana.
It's incredible. You have to experience it. The unlimited driving is just something that people in the United States we just dream of. Here it's a reality.
Time for a reality check, courtesy of Germany's finest. You will find the occasional speed trap on the Autobahn. You didn't really think you'd be able to blast through all of Deutschland doing more than 160 kilometers per hour, did you? You can only open it up for about 2/3 of the Autobahn's 12,000 kilometers, which is still pretty impressive if you're a speed freak. Here's something else that'll impress Leadfoots. German traffic cops fight speed with speed. And they've got cooler cars than most of the people they chase. Their fleet of cop cars is an exotic car collector's dream team. Mercedes, BMW, Audi, all with enough muscle to match the big boys in the fast lane. The vehicles are outfitted with standard police equipment, radios, computers, lights, cameras. But the real action is under the hood. Besides having a souped-up suspension to handle the added equipment weight, a select few don't have the regulators that usually cap out cars at 250 kilometers per hour. This is one of the reasons German police cars need that extra power. There's a family in Pfaffenhausen whose business is building cars that push the limits of speed. Many drivers think this is the ultimate Autobahnmobile, the Ruf Porsche. The Ruf family has been in the car business since 1939 and evolved from simply providing auto maintenance to full customization of Porsches. In 1981, Alois and Estonia Ruf began manufacturing their own cars based on the Porsche chassis. Their handmade supercars are considered among the finest in the world.
We are the only country left in the world where we have the freedom of driving on our autobahns. And our cars are made to outperform any other car in the world. These are the German cars in general. And we as Ruf, we take the best car that there is, which is the Porsche, the best sports car, and we bring it to another level.
top-of-the-line car is the R-Turbo. Constructed on a Porsche 996 turbo chassis and redesigned from the ground up, it's a machine all about the Autobahn enthusiast. The all-wheel drive R-Turbo can lift off from 0 to 100 in less than 4 seconds, and its top-end speed is around 350 kilometers per hour. Need perspective on that speed? Large commercial jets become airborne at about 290 kilometers per hour. So how does an Autobahn patrolman battle that kind of speed? He relies on the time-tested tools of his trade. First, there's technique. Autobahn police tend to pull in front of vehicles they want to apprehend. This method prevents routine traffic stops from becoming high-speed chases. Then there's technology. Many commercial vehicles have telegraphic speed recorders mounted inside. An officer can take a look at a readout that contains the vehicle's speed history and issue a citation. But sometimes traditional tools aren't enough for this extreme road, and extreme measures are needed to slow things down. How do German traffic officers train for super speeders? They play video games. This is a specialized police driving simulator, located at the police training center in Sulzbach, about 200 kilometers north of Munich. This may be the only high-speed driving simulator of its kind in the world. It's built like an aircraft flight simulator, but stocked with an operational police-issue BMW. It has a huge wraparound screen and even has displays in the mirrors for the full effect. The simulator can replicate all kinds of driving situations, from small towns to country roads to urban congestion and high-speed runs on the Autobahn. For trainees, understanding how people will react is crucial. During extremely fast pursuits, sirens are ineffective because drivers going top speeds can't hear them. And by the time drivers see the flashing blue lights in their mirrors, the police are already about to overtake them. Extensive simulator training hones reaction times to split seconds and forges vehicle handling skills far beyond those of an average driver. The next level of defense for the police: motorcycle boys and their powerful toys. This bike is a BMW K1200 GT and can reach speeds of 240 kilometers per hour. It can accelerate from 0 to 100 in just 3.7 seconds. And of course the seat is heated. Patrolling the Autobahn by bike rates about an 11 on the 1 to 10 scale of hot jobs. Hitting the pavement at 240 kilometers an hour gives new meaning to the notion of super speed. You're looking at one of the most dangerous jobs in Germany. Most drivers on this highway have seatbelts, airbags and roll cages to protect them. All a motorcycle cop has are his helmet, his leathers and his skill. Sometimes even those are not enough to nab the speediest of Autobahn drivers. So the police have added another, more stealthy tool to their bag of tricks. High-tech spy gear that ensures Autobahn drivers follow the rules of the road, even when the police aren't watching. This method is called photo enforcement, but it's more like Big Brother hits the highway. Undercover vehicles parked alongside the road, as well as signs at underpasses, are equipped with cameras. These hidden cameras snap pictures of speeding vehicles. The images are processed and the negatives go into a computer system. This system then digitally enhances the picture to create a clear image of the plate. After that, it scans for the driver's face in the offending vehicle and enhances.
You thought you knew what the fast lane was. Think again. Imagine a superhighway designed for speed. Thousands of miles of roadway unhindered by limits of any kind, where drivers can go as fast as their Porsches will carry them. Now, the Autobahn on Modern Marvels. Exhilarating, intoxicating, and illegal beyond clearly set limits that are posted on every major highway in the world. Except one. It's midnight at a gas station just off the German Autobahn in southern Bavaria. We are about to live out every armchair speedster's fantasy. To push the needle on the speedometer as far as it will go. In this car, the needle's going to go pretty far.
This car you see here was a car from Great Britain, and the customer brings it to us as a stock 996 Turbo with 420 horsepower, and we converted this car to 520 horsepower.
Hans Lieb is a test driver for Roof Automotive, a boutique car company that converts high-end Porsches into the fastest street-legal cars in the world. Everything about these cars, from the low-friction tires to the super-sensitive suspension to the massive engine, has been designed for Autobahn joyrides.
The roof car is definitely designed for the Autobahn because the roof car is so fast that it can only be driven such speeds on the Autobahn. You cannot do that on a normal two-lane highway.
Hans has to certify exactly how fast this $200,000 Porsche can go before sending it to its owner in London. The Autobahn is the ideal place and the only major highway in the world where he can legally make this kind of test run.
The Autobahn for us is a good road to test all our cars. We have mostly no speed limit, and also it's in a really good condition, so it's really safe to test cars in this way by night. First you learn slowly to walk, and then you learn faster to walk. And so it's the same impression we had with speed. Of course, it's fun to go really, really fast with cars. So, but at the end, you must be always really careful, and your eyes must be watching all around, so also by side and also in front a little bit.
At this speed, even the super smooth surface of the Autobahn, specially maintained to accommodate really fast drivers, feels rough and pitted. And the slow and gentle Autobahn curves, designed to allow drivers to reach and hold extreme speeds, strain the Porsche.
The hardest part at that speed is if you see cars in front of you and you are not really sure how they react. Sometimes they are sleeping and they turning to the middle line. So you must be really sure that the line is clear and that is not a car who can make something wrong in front of you. You must be really concentrated at that speed because the car runs over 200 or 300 meters per second.
This 520 horsepower Porsche tops out at 7,200 RPMs and 212 miles per hour. That's with a camera crew of 2 squeezed into the side and rear bucket seats. Welcome to the Autobahn, the only freeway in the world where 212, a speed that police helicopters can't match, is perfectly legal. This is the ultimate driver's fantasy land, not just for professionals, but for anyone with a license. A kind of bizarro world where all the basics are in reverse. It's actually illegal to drive too slow, but there are no limits at all for thousands of miles of Autobahn on how fast you can go. As hard as it is to get used to, it's actually okay to pass a cop here at speeds that would land you in prison in the U.S.
There is that initial hesitation the first time you see the Autobahn police. And I remember talking to my friends and saying, well, we can't get a ticket, can we? And then just simply passing and, them at, like 110 miles an hour, they never gave us a second look because we weren't doing anything illegal.
The Autobahn turns the basic premise that speed kills on its head. Weird and counterintuitive as it seems, driving without limits, at least as it's practiced in Germany, is as safe and possibly safer than the more conservative approach favored by the rest of the world.
I think generally the average American looks at the Autobahn as, Germany's way of population control. And ultimately, if you look at it statistically, it's very safe to drive on the Autobahn, and especially the last 10, 15 years, it's scored consistently a lower death rate than our American interstate.
But how is this possible? One can't help but think on the face of it that a freeway on which people can go 212 would be incredibly dangerous. Not so. In exchange for the right to fly, Autobahn drivers have to sacrifice other freedoms.
The Germans permit much higher speeds, but force much more rigid controls in how you behave on the highways in terms of lane discipline. Here, You can meander all over all the lanes and wherever you want to go, provided you drive within the posted limits.
They have a law that they call it's Rechtsfahren, drive right. You can only drive in the right-hand lane and pass in the left. And that's the law. If you pass on the right, you can be pulled over and given a ticket. And so everybody rigidly observes this. So the slower traffic is always to the right, and there's never a left lane bandit or a slowpoke sitting in the left lane blocking traffic.
Autobahn drivers don't just drive right. They drive with a distinctive concentration and focus, one that 100+ miles an hour has a way of quickly inducing. There is no multitasking on the Autobahn, no talking on the cell phone, no eating on the run.
German companies never understood why we needed cup holders, because driving is an activity in itself. One takes pride and has to put full concentration into it. It's not something you do while slurping on a 7-Up, as we Americans do. And that whole idea of the cup holder, in a way, illustrates the difference between the way the automobile in the United States is